In this video, we are going to compare the picture quality of an LG Nanocell versus a Samsung QLED TV. Hello everyone, Vincent Teo from HDTV Test here. On your left is the LG Nano 90, on your right is the Samsung Q90T. Both TVs are 65 inches in screen size for a level playing field when it comes to assessing motion performance and upscaling quality. At the time we produced this video in November 2020, the LG 65 Nano 90 commanded a street price of £1,100, whereas the Samsung 65 Q90T was significantly more expensive at £1,900. So please bear this in mind as we go through various attributes of picture quality. The reason we are doing this comparison is because these two are the high-end 4K Nanocell and QLED models from LG and Samsung respectively, and happen to be in our test room at the same time. Let's start this comparison with the element that's responsible for the QLED moniker. The Samsung Q90T QLED uses quantum dot technology, as evidenced by the beautifully distinct red, green, and blue waveforms in the spectral power distribution captured using our Jetty 1511 spectroradiometer. The LG Nano 90, on the other hand, doesn't use quantum dot technology. Instead, it uses LG Display's proprietary light-absorbing molecular material to shape the spectral power distribution to achieve a wider color gamut of 69% Rec 2020, though it still fell short of the 73% Rec 2020 delivered by the Q90T, which meant brighter colors would appear more saturated and vibrant on the QLED in real-world content. This video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. With more and more people staying home these days, Netflix is continuing to cap the bitrate of certain shows, especially in Europe, which will cause the picture to look softer with more compression artifacts such as macro blocking, pixelation, and noise in dark scenes. What if there's a way to access Netflix servers in another country where streaming bitrate is not capped? This is where a VPN comes in. Surfshark allows you to stream content from another country without needing you to be physically there, so you can watch Netflix in higher bitrates and better picture quality. You can also get more content that's not available in your region, perhaps the US Netflix library which contains more movie titles. For less than the price of a Big Mac per month, you can use Surfshark on as many devices as you want in your household, all at the same time. There's 24/7 live customer support, a 30-day money-back guarantee, and even instructions on how to set up the VPN on your LG or Samsung Smart TV. And for a limited time only, if you use promo code HDTV Test, you'll get 83% off and 3 extra months free. So sign up today and give Surfshark a try. I'll put the link in the YouTube description below. Thanks again for your support. The LG Nano 90 uses an IPS LCD panel, while the Samsung Q90T is equipped with a VA-type LCD panel. IPS LCDs typically have worse black level performance than VA LCDs, and this was evidently clear from our own custom-ordered zone count pattern, which also revealed that the LG Nano 90 had 32 local dimming zones, while the Samsung Q90T had a higher count of 120 local dimming zones, resulting in significantly less blooming. Real-world content followed a similar trend, with the LG Nano 90 manifesting noticeably grayer blacks, grid-shaped blooming, and backlight fluctuations than the Samsung Q90T in this scene from Gravity where Sandra Bullock is tumbling through space. The greater black depth on the Samsung Q90T also allowed shadow detail to be expressed in a clearer manner, since there's more range to delineate one constellation from another. In this sequence from Batman vs Superman, the top and bottom letterbox bars never looked anywhere close to black on the LG Nano 90, which was compounded by obvious halation from adjacent bright objects. The challenging campfire scene from The Revenant told a similar story, with sizable blooms around the subtitles on the LG Nano 90, compared to the calmer and more stable HDR presentation on the Samsung Q90T. Because of Samsung's new for 2020 algorithm to differentiate content from interface, sometimes subtitles which span 2 lines, one in the content area and the other in the bottom letterbox bar, would have different brightness on the Q90T, but it's still better than the bloomfest presented by the Nano 90. Perhaps in an effort to produce deeper blacks, LG has implemented an aggressive local dimming algorithm which, in low light scenes, could cause the backlight to switch off in a premature fashion. Normally we would insert a joke here, but it's probably too early. As we went from a 4% above black window progressively down to 1% above black, it disappeared on the LG Nano 90 below 3% above black, while remaining fully visible on the Samsung Q90T. The LG Nano 90's aggressive local dimming algorithm also dimmed bright highlights to a greater extent, leading to more circumferential darkening than the Samsung Q90T in this rapidly expanding white circle pattern we normally use to test ABL or automatic brightness limiter circuitry. In terms of color accuracy after calibration, the LG Nano 90 looked a shade more natural, especially when it came to skin tones, but the Samsung Q90T popped more thanks to its deeper blacks and higher gamma. Even with all motion settings disabled, both TVs applied the correct pull-down in 24 frames per second films to render slow panning shots smoothly without telecinic judder. Both LED LCDs are sample and hold displays, returning a baseline motion resolution of 300 lines if all motion settings are off. Engaging frame interpolation in an optimized manner increased motion resolution to 1080 lines on both TVs. Although up close, we saw a bit more black trailing on the Samsung Q90T as dark objects travel across a light background, owing to its VA-type LCD panel. Both TVs are capable of black frame insertion or BFI, but we wouldn't use it for different reasons. LG's BFI implementation was too flickery with double ghost images to be used comfortably for prolonged periods, whereas Samsung's BFI would apply undefeatable motion interpolation with 50Hz broadcasts we get in Europe, leading to noticeable interpolation artifacts. Video processing on the Samsung Q90T was generally better than that on the Nano 90, which features LG's sub-flagship picture processor in the form of the Alpha 7 Gen 3 chipset. The Samsung Q90T upscaled this SMPTE RP133 standard definition test card in a perceptibly sharper manner, yet with less overshoot than the LG Nano 90. As a result, standard def broadcast appeared sharper and cleaner on the Samsung Q90T, whose deeper blacks and higher contrast also increased perceived acutance. On this 1080p test pattern from the Spears & Munsell HD benchmark disc, the Samsung Q90T passed full chroma bandwidth, but the LG Nano 90 exhibited some corruption in the finest horizontal chroma, which shifted as the content changed on screen. Both televisions correctly detected and processed 3:2 cadence in interlaced film-based material, although the Samsung Q90T would lose lock for 2:2 cadence even with film mode engaged. In this heavily compressed Game of Thrones clip, even if we ignored the difference in black depth, native gradation looked superior on the Samsung Q90T, which couldn't be matched by the LG Nano 90 even with smooth gradation set to high. When we put up full-field gray slides to check screen uniformity, the Samsung Q90T manifested less dirty screen effect and banding than the LG Nano 90, which also suffered from more darkening along the sides. For HDR, peak brightness on the Samsung Q90T was higher than that on the LG Nano 90. On 1000 nit bright scenes without significant chunks of letterbox bars, the LG Nano 90 actually wasn't too far off the Samsung Q90T, though the latter still showed a bit more pop in the specular highlights, as well as a fuller color volume. The gap widened with 4000 nit content even after we engaged dynamic tone mapping on the LG Nano 90, with the Samsung Q90T delivering more impact and preserving more bright highlight detail thanks to higher peak luminance capabilities. 10-bit gradation looked smoother on the LG Nano 90, judging from the gradients in the skies of the Martian. In addition, the Samsung Q90T also exhibited occasional posterization around bright highlights, which could be eradicated by switching color space to native at the expense of color accuracy. The LG Nano 90 supports Dolby Vision, whereas the Samsung Q90T doesn't, But because the peak brightness of the Nanocell TV was so low anyway, even Dolby Vision dynamic metadata couldn't help the Nano90 match the HDR impact generated by the Samsung Q90T. Not even close. With game mode engaged on both TVs, input lag at 60Hz measured 20 milliseconds on the LG Nano90 with local dimming enabled, and twice as fast at 10 milliseconds on the Samsung Q90T. When fed a 120Hz video signal, the latency figures dropped to 12 milliseconds and 8 milliseconds on the Nano90 and the Q90T respectively. Picture quality in game mode on the Samsung Q90T was superior to that on the LG Nano90 Nanocell TV, courtesy of deeper blacks and clearer shadow detail on the QLED in dark scenes, as well as more pop and less highlight clipping with brighter elements on screen. Both the LG 65 Nano90 and the Samsung 65 Q90T support the HDMI 2.1 gaming features of ALLM, VRR, and 4K at 120Hz, which we verified to pass full 444 chroma in PC mode. In the presence of ambient light, the LG Nano90 was glossier and more reflective, while the anti-glare filter on the Samsung Q90T was more effective in muting reflections, but could also introduce rainbows depending on the angle at which light hit the screen. Conventional wisdom states that IPS LCD panels have wider viewing angles than VA-type LCDs, but this didn't hold true for the Nano90 versus the Q90T, partly because of the viewing angle compensation film implemented by Samsung on the latter. If anything, we were put off by the blacks which glowed brighter off-axis on the LG Nano90, not to mention more severe darkening of the bright parts. Let's sum up. Nanocell versus QLED basically boils down to IPS versus VA LCD, and the unfortunate truth is that the mediocre contrast performance of IPS is simply not competitive enough in the age of HDR, especially when watched in a dark room. Some quarters may complain that it's unfair to compare an 1100-pound TV to a 1900-pound TV, and while they have a point, the Nano90 is the top 4K Nanocell TV from LG, and the Q90T is the top 4K QLED from Samsung in 2020. Even if we put an H-lit Samsung Q60T up against the Nano90, or an 8K LG Nano95 versus the Samsung Q90T to achieve price parity, we are confident the outcome will remain the same. The inherent advantage conferred by VA LCD panel over IPS is just too big to be overcome by video processing, local dimming, or higher resolution. We are more than happy to do such a comparison if someone somewhere wants to send us the TVs to be compared. If you want to watch more of our technical TV comparisons, we have created a playlist here if you would like to click on it, and I will see you in the next video.